hello, and welcome back to another episode of To Whom It May Concern. I'm your host, Malak, here with my co-hosts, Inara, Mariam, and Khawaila.
Yes, Assalamualaikum.
Today's episode is extra fun and extra special because we have a guest with us today. She's a staple in the community. She's near and dear to our hearts, and she's recently been taking on projects that other women are really inspired by. She's an inspiration to women of all ages and all sizes. So today we have none other than personal blogger Summer Shaban.
Hi, thank you guys so much for
Assalamualaikum.
having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this, and I'm so proud of what you ladies all have been doing. So,
Thank you. Such kind words. So Summer, we brought you here today because we are honestly inspired by your Instagram page, by your YouTube channel. We love to follow you. We love to see what you produce. And I hadn't mentioned it in the intro, but Summer's forte is plus size fashion, right? So, I mean, your outfits are always amazing, whether you're plus size or not. Like, we get inspiration from your outfits regardless of what you post. And you have such a beautiful personality that shows through your social media. But we just wanted to kick off the episode by just kind of getting to know you better, you know? So, like, what's your background? What really got you involved in fashion, and just taking it to social media, and how it's, you know, how you've come to where you are today.
what got me interested in blogging and doing what I do with fashion is basically, as a child growing up, I struggled with not having items and clothing that I wanted to wear, or even for my age. I've always dressed older than my age just because I couldn't find that fashion and I couldn't find the styles that were catered to me because they didn't carry my size. And I struggled with that as a younger child, and it did bother me as a younger child. So I've been a heavier girl since I was little. So it's something that I've always had to learn to work around. And I think that's what pushed me to be a little more fashion forward, because I've always had to think outside of the box. I've always had to, like, oh, maybe I can take this and make it, you know, something and make it look good. And that's what kind of helped me to get where I'm at today. And I also do it for the other girls out there that are like me, that struggle with not knowing where to shop or not knowing how to dress. Girls easily get discouraged because, you know, the image of a woman is a thinner woman, right? Even though in America, in the US in general, an average size is a size 16, but that is not what we see. So a lot of girls see that and they kind of struggle with it, and they, you know, they look at themselves and they always constantly wanting to diet, constantly wanting to fit that image. I do this to kind of show girls, you know what, you can be heavier and you can still be put together and you still can look clean, you still can look good. And I would like to share with them, you know, all the tools that I use to achieve that look, basically.
That's such a beautiful way to look at it, to be like, okay, I struggled growing up trying to find the right clothes, but what I liked about your thinking was, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work and still look beautiful. You know, a lot of women that I speak to today are more like, well, it's just not going to look nice on me, period. So I'm not even going to try to fix myself. So a lot of women just get discouraged in even trying to pick outfits that would look nice on them. Like, not until I'm this thin, then I'll fix myself and make myself look nice. So how do you have that positive mindset, like growing up saying, well, this will look beautiful on me. I just need to find a way,
to make it work.
Yeah.
I actually found myself in that box at a young age, and it was I look back at it and I'm like, oh God, that was kind of sad. You know, like, I put myself in that box for, alhamdulillah, it was a short period of time, but I don't know. I kind of felt like, you know what, like, if this is how I am and this is how Allah didn't create me this way, but like, I kind of feel like I struggled with losing weight, and I still struggle with it today, just, for health reasons. But I always just tell myself, you know what, this is my jihad in life. Like, just Allah wants me to be this way, like I've tried so much. Even when I do lose weight, I kind of it comes right back so quickly. So for me, I don't know. I have, like, I guess my family helped me with that. Yeah, my parents did want me to be healthy, and in the Arab community, we can tend to be fat phobes, if we're going to be realistic. So they did want me to be healthy. They did want me to always look good, but my dad, Allah yarhamah, was always the one that was like, "Don't listen to anyone. You're still beautiful." And I think that's also very important for in the home, for girls to hear that they're always beautiful, because it truly does help. And I think that's what helped me get out of that box and push to be more positive, because I had that energy around me. So I guess surrounding yourself around that positivity, surrounding yourself around that positive energy would definitely help a girl and motivate a girl to, to do, to make things work. Also, seeing other kids, have things that I really, really wanted. And I was the type of person, again, with my upbringing, the word can't was never in our family's vocabulary. And my dad used to always say that, like, we don't say can't. Like, that's not a thing, like, you can do anything that you want. So, I seeing that growing up, I was like, okay, I'm going to make that work. I'm going to make it happen. If it's, wearing something or buying something that is from a department that is older than me and trying to make it youthful, like, I've done that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is such a relevant issue, because not just within the Arab community, but I feel like with women across the globe, body image is always something that's on their mind, that's always spoken about, that's always it's just always there. So whether I feel like I hear it in like younger people, older people, like across the board, it's always about dieting, it's always about exercising, looking good, and then equating that to feeling good and being more confident in yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the issue, because we should be confident regardless. However, it's always, like you mentioned, battling it out between like being okay with your body as well as being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And exercising, eating well, sort of thing. But I guess my thing is having that intention to be healthy and exercising, eating well for that reason, and not necessarily starving yourself to fit into a size 0 or whatever size you're
100%.
interested in.
Yes. I actually came across some statistics in the past few months, and it was I read something somewhere about children as young as the age of 6 start to look at their image.
Wow.
And when I seen that, I was just so taken away. And I have nieces, and I see, younger kids in our community, and with social media and all that stuff, it's just like, because these little kids are on their tablets, on YouTube. I even see young kids like scrolling through TikTok, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, this isn't what we want to instill in them, because not all of it is positive, and not all of it is the image that they should be seeing. So kids do look at themselves and judge themselves, and have second thoughts on, like, oh, should I, or I'm fat, or I don't want to eat, or stuff like that. And that's so unhealthy at an age so young. Like, you should just be thinking about playing with toys, not about how you look, or anything of that sort. And yes, definitely, being overweight or being plus size or curvy doesn't always necessarily mean that you're not healthy. Like, I know people that are heavier that have gone and got themselves checked out, and they're healthier than some people that are thin. Like, I know I have a friend that's thin, and she has cholesterol, and I don't know, like, she's a diabetic, all these things. So as long as you're healthy and you can maintain that, then that's perfectly fine. And the only time I have an issue with being overweight is if it's starting to affect your health and your day-to-day life, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with dieting. There's nothing wrong with trying to stay healthy. And I also know people that are heavier that work out every day, and that's how their build is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny because it's like, I heard this quote one time, and it was saying, oh, a person who was heavier told you they wanted to be anorexic or not eat, for instance, you'd be perfectly fine with that. Like that unhealthy decision, people in society would be perfectly fine with. But if a skinnier person were to do that, then everybody would turn ahead and be like, what are you doing? Stop, that's so unhealthy. Both are unhealthy. It's just your perception of why they should be doing it is the problem.
So, like you'd mentioned, somewhat, it feels like when we're talking about beauty standards and we're talking about self-image, it's something that we're literally born into. So, like you see the Disney princesses, and you say like TikTok, Instagram, cartoons. It's all very basic. The look is very basic. Thin, colored eyes, colored hair, like whatnot. And then you grow up and you're still surrounded by so much of that on social media. So, what's kind of your advice on overcoming those beauty standards? Because even you don't even necessarily have to be considered plus size in order to be constantly comparing yourself. It's just something we've become so accustomed to,
Yes.
of like trying to get there. So how do you feel like you've helped to overcome those beauty standards, or to kind of just turn a blind eye and be like, this is not what I equate to happiness, or what I equate to what I want to look like?
Yeah, I mean, just to briefly touch back on like a few things that you mentioned, even with the Disney princesses, I actually thought about that the other day, and I'm like, how cool would it be to have like a curvy Disney princess? Like, that would be so epic.
A normal body princess.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Also, just recently, we started, in the past few years, we started having brown dolls, or dolls that don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. And let's be real, not everyone has blonde hair and blue eyes. So I think that that's slowly becoming, better, but we definitely still have a long way to go with that. Ways I kind of help myself with that and steer away from that image is, at the end of the day, I try to remind myself, and I try to remind others that, God has created us all, and every woman is beautiful in her own way. And beauty and confidence always starts within. So like learning to love yourself definitely helps, definitely will help you love yourself in your own skin, and kind of take you away from that negativity, and just keep a positive mindset on, like, when you do look at yourself in the mirror, just say something nice to yourself. Like, it doesn't, I'm not saying like, oh, I stand in the mirror all day and say, oh, you're so beautiful. Let's be realistic. Like, that's not me, but anytime you feel down, or if you feel like, oh, you know what, I'm not feeling myself today, if putting on some makeup is going to make you feel like, start feeling yourself and look in the mirror and say, okay, yeah, you know what, like, I look good, like, why not? So yeah, trying to keep a positive mindset, and doing things for yourself and loving yourself within, I think, can kind of help you not think about those things. And, it definitely helps.
Absolutely. I feel like we are our toughest critics, when we look at ourselves, and, we are so harsh. But if we change our mindset to be more positive, and like knocking down that voice that tells us negative things, that literally will change your life and how you feel about yourself. So it's literally changing that lens of being negative, and how we view ourselves, to more positive, like, mindset and view. And I feel like a lot of us do have that voice that talks negatively. And it's whenever you hear that voice, just change those thoughts, stop them, don't allow them to bombard your mind. Because a lot of times, and I feel like sometimes we're really harsh in how we look. And if you were to like ask anybody else or how they view you and see you, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You're beautiful. Or, I've never even noticed that about you, like, or that negative, I don't even think it exists. So sometimes we ourselves kind of overthink about our own self-image.
Every woman does that. All shapes and sizes, every background. We are truly in our own heads. That definitely is something that all women do. And I see it a lot because I'm also a photographer. So like when I shoot girls, they're like, oh no, like this is my angle, or oh no. And even I have that, like I have, like, I struggle with like my teeth, for example. Like I'm in the process of getting Invisalign because I'm like, okay, it's been way too long. Let's just finally do it and get it done. I have a side that I prefer because of my teeth, or, every girl has it. And even the most confident girl will still have something that she hates about herself, or something that, she just isn't so confident about. So, for sure.
I mean, kind of though contradicting that a little bit, some people do have a really positive mindset, but then society does tell them otherwise. For instance, you go out, you're super confident, but then they're like, okay, no, you're ugly. Or not you're ugly, but like maybe you should not eat that. Or maybe, you're looking a little what's the word? Not curvy. You're looking a little plump lately, or whatever. They try and say it kindly, but it's still not kind. So I feel like sometimes, even when you do have that own confidence yourself, society does tear you down a bit. So you do need thicker, not just like not a thicker skin, but just to know that your confidence in yourself needs to overcome what society tells you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, as a Arabiya, I've grew up with that. Okay. Outside of just, if we're going to touch a little bit on who I am, and that is a part of me, as much as I had positivity in my house, like my mom is someone that comes from, if I ate something, she would definitely look at me and be like, do you really need to be eating that right now? Like, so I kind of grew up with that too, so it's, and I think maybe that is also what gave me that thick skin. And that is also like, now if I do get that, I'm just like, okay, well, if you don't want to eat it, that's up to you. It tastes really good, so, so, it's just, I just tend to totally zone that out. And I think that comes from having, that, I guess, tough love at home as well. I've had both. My dad was the one that was more positive, and he was the one that was like, oh, don't listen to anyone. You're still beautiful. And my mom was the one that was, you always have to look good. You always have to this, you always this, and that. So, I mean, I love my mom, but yeah, she definitely had that. She definitely had that tough love, and, and it came from love, of course. And she wanted me to be healthy. So,
but kind of going back to society and whatnot, in terms of like relationships, did you ever have the doubt where it's like, I'm overweight, I will never get in a relationship in my life? Because I feel like that's a lot of things that a lot of girls are struggling with. Not only like I want to be pretty, but I want to be pretty or skinnier in order to be in a relationship.
Accepted and loved for who you are in your own skin, for sure. Yeah, I did. That did cross my mind when I was at that age and thinking of marriage. And I did get like some negativity with that, where like, lose weight so you can get married, or like, the only person that's going to marry you is someone from back home that needs papers, or like
Someone said that.
I've heard, I got a lot of that, and it did hurt, it hurt a lot. And then when I, alhamdulillah, when I finally, married someone that totally accepted me for who I am, and was born and raised here, so in their face. So, alhamdulillah, I did struggle with that. And I did actually, around that time, I lost like a good 50 pounds, and I still had like ways to go. And I totally gained most of it back before I even got engaged and got married again. So, I mean, that goes to show, like there is someone out there for everyone. And any girl that has those thoughts in her head, I would just say to her, do what you can and what you feel is best, and leave the rest to Allah. And, we try and we plan and we think and we get in our heads. But at the end of the day, whatever's nasib and whatever Allah has written for us will definitely happen. So,
So I can't imagine trying to break into this type of like life, or like trying to break out onto not just plus size fashion, but being Arab, being Muslim in the community that we're born and raised to, didn't come with obstacles or hurdles that you had to overcome. So could you please share with us like some of the challenges that you faced and kind of how you overcame them or, went around them?
Yeah, I mean, within the community, I feel like, again, and I know it's not only like a Arab thing. I think it's
Mhm.
more of a, I think foreigners in general, because being overweight is only like an American thing, right? Like, that's what we're known for. So foreigners in general kind of look at overweight people, and most of them are considered like fat phobes because they're just like, oh my God. But I think within our community, for me, I've always been a heavier girl, so I've always had those like looks. I've always had, that negativity. So it helped me have that thicker skin and kind of just eventually not care. And I like to look good, so I always look good. And now everywhere I go, people are like, "Oh, you look so good," or I turned that negativity into positivity, I guess, which took a long time and it was hard, but yeah, and I think in our community we need to be more positive towards girls and their feelings, and not judge, because at the end of the day, that's what our religion teaches us, right? To make excuses for someone before judging them. And I think we don't we don't practice that aspect of our religion. And we're always judging how someone's dressed. We're always judging how someone looks. We're always judging, and I think that's very unfortunate. And that is something that I think the community definitely needs to shed light on and to really make a change with. So,
Do you feel like you had to overcome even more obstacles starting up your blog and your YouTube channel? Or at that point, were you pretty much established in yourself?
well, I did. Well, for example, when I started my YouTube, I was like, oh God, I already know, like, people are going to be like, oh my God, Shubitsa Wehavikada, like, what is she saying? Who does she think she is? You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's how a lot of people in the community think. And I've had people that actually would look at me and they would come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, you're so nice." And I'm like,
What?
"Oh my God, like, was I ever mean to you?" But yeah, I get people that would look at my page and they're like, "Man, we thought you were like Shaifa Halik. We thought you were so conceited." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, I promise I'm really nice. If you ever need anything, I got you. No, but I've gotten those comments, and that kind of does hold me back a little bit. Also with my blog, it is a struggle because I feel like right now, I see a lot of uh, skin on social media. And
Mhm.
that's what gets the followers, and that's what, gets the attention. And I'm not that type of person. I don't wear hijab. The most I'll show is like maybe my shoulders. I'll show my arms sometimes, but like I do have a line, and I do have that limit that I won't cross because of my faith, and
Yeah.
I try to push myself to be a better Muslim versus, falling for that trap and putting myself out there in ways that, just to jump on the bandwagon. Like, I refuse to do that. So that is something that that makes it harder for me to grow my page. And at the end of the day, like, I like to remind myself and tell myself, I do this for other women. I don't do it to show skin to get that male following. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, I don't want that male following. I want the women and the girls out there that, share the same love that I have for fashion to follow me, that need that help, or that little girl, or that woman that struggles with, her fashion or her weight gain because she had a baby, because I get a lot of girls that DM me about that. Uh, just I want to be that light, or I want to be that blogger that they can come to or go to look at, and then make them smile and feel better about themselves. So I try so hard to not fall for any other traps or bandwagons, because that's not me. I try to separate myself from that. And I like to tell myself that it kind of sets me apart and makes me more unique, because every person is like out here, showing skin because they want to show that it's okay to love yourself and be overweight. But I think you can do that without showing your skin. I think you can do that without being in a bra and underwear.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you mentioned, because I feel like in fashion in general, it's always about skin. So even as hijabis for us, it's always difficult because a lot of times things look cute, but you can't wear it, especially as a Muslim or as a hijabi trying to dress modestly. So I feel like it's always a trick just in general, trying to look good, be presentable, but also still upholding your values that you're setting for yourself.
Sure.
It's so like nice to see that how even though it's a struggle for you, but you're still trying to uphold it.
Yeah, I think Arab girls and Muslim girls in general struggle with that, hijabi or not, because, as someone that's not hijabi, like I still have my limitations, and I still have like, okay, yeah, I want to wear that, but I can't wear it. So I can't take pictures in that and post it. And, which, it is a struggle, and that's something that separates and makes it harder for my page. But I know a lot of hijabis too, that struggle with, oh my God, I don't feel beautiful in this because I have to like hijabify it, or I just totally killed this with my hijab, or, like I hear that and I see it all the time. But I think every girl can look beautiful and style however she wants to style things. And I personally think being covered is more beautiful and sexier than showing skin.
Yeah, as we kind of kicked off the episode, when you were just talking about all the feelings you went through growing up as, being plus size, and then into your adolescence, your teenage, your 20s, I was just thinking there's so many parallels between what you're saying you feel being plus size and what we feel as hijabis too. Like sometimes you never know what other women are going through, and people just assume, oh, she may not be like, like heavy set or curvy or anything, so everything's so easy for her to find clothes is so easy, to do things are so easy. But I feel like as a hijabi, at least personally, sometimes we're always going the extra mile just to like, to make it look good and to be modest. I mean, I know now like on Amazon you could buy like shirt extenders and things like that you have to purchase in order to make the short stuff look cute or to still like look fashionable. So
Layering,
it's just
like we're layering queens,
Yeah.
we're like, we have no choice. But that's actually a thing in fashion. Like if you can layer, yes, like that is so freaking awesome. So that is taking a tool and applying it to and changing it up and applying it to your how you have to dress. So
I love that. I love how you say you can be confident and you could look good regardless of your weight, which is super important, because I feel like people are just lazy sometimes, or at least in my opinion, where I'm just like, okay, something easy to throw on is just joggers and a t-shirt. I don't want to go out of my way to find things that make me look good. So besides confidence, what's like a tip you have, like either with accessories or with like styling, that you would give to others?
yeah, I've always told a lot of girls that you can always wear something so basic, something so classic. Like there's always classic items, right? Like a blazer or like a button up or jeans or pump. Like you can always put those things together, which is so nicely put together and basic, and every girl should have in her closet. But when you pull out the bag, the shoes, the accessories, or, if you want to play with like a printed hijab against that, or if you want to do like a solid hijab and a printed blazer or whatever, like those little accessories, playing with prints and accessories definitely can complete and tie an outfit together. And I'm a true believer in accessories, like that always completes the look for sure.
I love accessories.
Yes.
I think why I find you really inspiring, because as a bigger person myself, I think my first thought is, how can I hide this? As if like somehow people won't see it if I wear a baggy enough t-shirt or if I wear baggy enough pants. And I think that goes through a lot of people's minds, where instead of just finding things that look good on you, you focus on like hiding more. So I think that's a lot where it comes with me in fashion. I look for things that I'm like, how can I look smaller? How can I hide myself more? Instead of looking at the spots in my body that I could amplify or that like will show me or who I am.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because if I want to touch back on as a younger girl, I did the same thing, like I was that girl, I would wear really baggy stuff, and then I would look in the mirror and I'm like, man, I feel like I look sloppy, like I feel like this is not hiding me, it's making me look sloppy. And I don't know. I seen myself in the mirror one day with my, baggy t-shirt and joggers. And I was like, okay, first of all, I look much bigger. I look sloppy. I look like I just woke up. So I took that and I was like, okay, I need to figure out what I can wear that is going to make me look more clean, more put together. And that is something. I was in that box for a short period of time. And when I would look at myself in the mirror with that baggy t-shirt, and because I wanted to hide myself, right? But when I looked at myself, I'm like, I'm not hiding, I'm making this worse. So there's nothing wrong with wearing a t-shirt.
On a bunch of like a breakout, you put makeup on it and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like putting powder on a pimple. No. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, there's nothing wrong with wearing t-shirt and joggers. We all get in that funk, and I don't look like this every day. I hardly wear makeup, and I only wear it when, there's a special occasion or when there's something that I need to do, or if I need to blog or shoot. Most of the time I don't wear makeup. Most of the time I'm not always dressed to the heavens, because, let's be realistic. I don't want to give that image, and, people have to feel like they always have to look this way, because that can be stressful as well. So yeah, just huge disclaimer. I don't always look like this.
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah. So, and it's, hey, I have my days where I want to sit around in my t-shirt and joggers, or even run errands in my t-shirt and joggers. And that's okay too. But, you have to wear those things in with the intention of not trying to hide who you are and hide yourself. So
I think one of the major things that helped me was looking confident in what you're wearing, because it makes such a difference if you have like hunched up shoulders versus if you have like a straight back and you're walking confidently. So I think there's definitely body language things too that we can show to other people.
for sure. That is something that I kind of grew up with too, like always walk with your head held high. So that's definitely a good thing to have, and a good mindset to have as well. So
Well, it comes across in your photos, honestly. Like you can see that confidence, and people are more drawn to people that have confidence, honestly. So that's kind of like what I see instantly when I look at your Instagram or your photos. I'm like, wow, she looks confident in that.
thank you.
Stands out.
It's good and confident.
Yeah, like you look good and you look confident. And I think you need to mix those things together in order to like really
Thank
be
you
a
so
fashion
much.
blogger.
That's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any like terms or sayings or things that like what not to do for people, like the term plus size and curvy? Would that be considered offensive, or you shouldn't be saying things like that?
Yeah. So I feel like some people do get offended from those terms in general, because it does separate women. You know what I mean? Like saying curvy or plus size, and not using like size inclusivity, or just, not having that title in general. I think for some people, like it definitely does separate women from each other. Like it kind of segregates us, and okay, this size to this size is over here, and then this size to this size is over here. which, okay, in a department store, that's great because it helps you find your size faster. But I think in general, as women, I think it separates us, and it also makes us get in our head more. But personally, it does not bother me because it helps me, like for my page, to have that title. A girl can essentially search plus size and come across my page, and if coming across my page can help her, then great. I have no problem with that. It doesn't bother me. I have thick skin. Stuff like that usually doesn't bother me. Sometimes, some things can, we're human, we have feelings. So sometimes things can get under our skin, but it's very hard. With me, it's very hard for that. You really have to go at it with me for that. So
besides, I know we touched into accessories, but are there any other basic tips you like to share with girls when you first meet them? Just like, whether it be clothes or hair or makeup or anything.
Girls, all shapes and sizes, like it's always a matter of trying on a bunch of stuff and figuring out what essentially works and looks good on you. And I know like there's like a whole like bandwagon out there of like, oh, I can wear whatever I want, it doesn't matter how I look. Like as a plus size girl, I will tell you there are some things that I just won't wear. That's me. If you feel like you want to wear whatever you want, then that's totally great. I'll never judge anyone for how they want to dress or whatever, like to each their own. But personally, as if you want to look at fashion and in the fashion industry, I feel like every girl should know what looks best on her shape. Like we have pear shape, we have round shape, we have, there's different shapes and different, bodies. And I think there's definitely something out there for everyone. For the curvy and plus size woman, it may be harder to find, but I promise you there are brands out there that cater to everyone. So it's just a matter of, trying on and keep trying on, because it can be discouraging as a woman in a fitting room or even ordering and trying on at home, like falling in love with an item and then getting it and it looking completely horrible on you. It's so discouraging. But I would tell, and I would like to give that tip of don't get discouraged, keep trying on until you find a shape. And it also helps you understand your body, to be honest, and it helps you start to love your body, especially when you start finding those items that look so good on you. You start to slowly accept yourself, you start to love yourself, and you're like, okay, I can actually do this. So try, keep trying on.
Yeah. It's just important to realize that a lot of it is genetic. So whether you're overweight versus underweight versus like, it's never really up to you, even though you do choose what you decide to eat, if you decide to exercise and things like that. But how easy it is to gain weight or how easy it is to lose weight, that's mostly genetic. So it's interesting how people are so easy to judge others, even though they didn't have much of a choice on how their body was even built.
Yeah. Most of the time, the people that judge are people that they can eat anything and they're fine. Like, you are the last person to say anything. No, but like it's funny that you mentioned that. Like I have a brother that like he wanted to gain weight and like he would eat mashallah, and he wouldn't gain any weight. And he was like the only one in the family. The rest of us, we were all like, literally we would smell the food and gain 5 pounds from smelling the food. So definitely, I think build and stuff like that is definitely genetic. And like if I look back at my dad's sisters, they were all so tall, and they had like broad shoulders and built, and like that's just how they were all built, and that's definitely genetics. And people judge, and they definitely don't look at that. And that also goes back to what I said within the community is we don't we like to look at people, and we don't basically make excuses for them or say, oh, like, oh, that's just how her body's built, or she's just like her aunts, or she gets that from whatever side of the family, instead of like, oh, she's always out and she's always eating. Because I get that too on my page, like when I go out to eat, I'll post my plate, and I'll post my husband's plate, and I'll post my friend's plate, or like whatever.
Yeah.
And people literally, like, I don't know how they think that I'm eating all of that. And I'm like, I don't know how it's not obvious that I'm posting everyone's plate instead of just mine. But I guess I give the image of that's how much I eat.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people they just find any reason to comment, right? To
Of course.
poke at your happiness. I mean, misery loves company.
Of course.
But here on Modern Skeptic Summer, just like we like to learn from your challenges and how you overcome obstacles, we love to celebrate your successes. So could you let us know, like, coming this far, what are some milestones, some successes you've had, some of the things you hope to continue to accomplish? And if there's ever been anything that you never thought would happen and happened and like made you really proud, really happy, we'd love to hear about those too.
When I get messages from girls that struggle with loving themselves or accepting themselves, and just telling me like, oh, thank you, I love what you do because it helps me. That to me is a success. And I love that. Being able to help a girl or shed light and make her feel a little bit better or give her that hope. To me, that in itself is a success. I have worked with a few local brands, and I did like a little bit of plus size modeling for them. That was something that was amazing for me, and I never thought that that would be something that I would get into, but I definitely loved that. I've had a blog write about 100 top plus size bloggers that are under like a certain amount of following, and I think number like 20 or 30 or something like that. And that was like a hoo-ha moment for me. I was just like, oh my God, no way, So that was awesome. And it was also like reassuring, it kind of pushed me to do more and to do better. So I think that was also very awesome. And I felt like very much achieved. I recently had a small magazine that is still growing reach out to me and want to write an article about me, and I did a photo shoot with them and stuff like that. So that still hasn't came out yet, but that is something that I was really happy and proud about. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm missing a few things. But,
That sounds amazing.
I'm still growing, and the ultimate goal for me is to potentially collab with a really big company and maybe have like my own collection with them. That is something that would be like the ultimate goal. That would be like the ultimate achievement for me, or even potentially having my own line. And having my own line, I wouldn't do just plus size. It would definitely be like size inclusivity. I would really carry like size 0 or even 00 to like 30, because I know how hard it is for that girl that is much smaller to also find clothing. It's just as hard as for a plus size girl. So for sure.
I think there's a beauty in the discussion that we had today somewhat, and all the great points that you kind of brought about. I think I really appreciated how you didn't just stick to plus size, right? So you maybe identify as a plus size blogger, but you hope that your platform is helping women in all shapes, all sizes, just to be confident, be proud of who you are, and be comfortable in your own skin. And I hope that anybody that tunes in and listens to this episode really kind of takes that away, that although something may look one way, we all struggle with something, right? So whether you're hijabi, you're Arab, you're Caucasian, whatever your skin color, whatever your size, everyone struggles with something. Like nobody's perfect and nobody believes that they're perfect. There's a very handful of people. And I hope that people not only watch this episode, but tune into your YouTube and get more out of that. You know, they actually watch you delve into different topics and just how you make it work and how hopefully women can continue to build that confidence. I think we've come a long way, but I think we have ways to go in terms of like beauty standards and what we see in social media, and that hopefully you are a pillar in the community and a pillar on social media that can really encourage girls to like, you know, be proud, post your pictures, and look for real people around you, not to constantly compare ourselves to these crazy standards that we may never reach and never be, you know, completely satisfied with. So thank you so much for joining us today.
For having me. I'm so happy that we were able to get together and do this and shed light on things that are important. And again, I'm so happy and proud that you guys take these important topics and shed light on it, because our community and people in the world definitely need to be hearing more about a lot of the topics that you guys discuss. And I want to thank you guys so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will definitely be dropping Samar's YouTube video, her Instagram, and all her other social medias under the video. So make sure you check those out. If you don't already follow Samar and you're not tuning in right after this episode, you're doing something wrong, ladies. So thank you again for tuning in to yet another episode of To Whom It May Concern. If at any time during this video you liked what you heard, don't forget to give this YouTube video a big thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you're notified every time we drop a new episode. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Modern Skeps. And if you ever have any ideas or any topics you'd like us to discuss, please, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to email us at modernskeptics@gmail.com. Sincerely, the Modern Skeptics. P.S. Confidence and beauty comes from within.